comic book junkies, it's the Frog Queen here coming at you with another comic book review. And today I'm doing an advanced review of the latest Shaky Kane series published by Image Comics called The Beef. There were several people involved in the making of this particular miniseries: plot and script and letters by Richard Starkings, plot and script by Tyler Shainline, and design by John Roshel. All art and colors, of course, by the awesome Shaky Kane. So as you've probably guessed, this story has something to do with beef. Not the kind of, hey you, yeah you get over here, I got a few words for you kind of beef. But instead, it's about the stuff cows get turned into after they take a bolt to the head. We're talking about burgers, essentially. There are a number of characters we follow throughout this book which are just going about their business in their regular day, which becomes not so regular, and I consider this book a dark comedy. There are some serious issues being addressed throughout the dark levity of this comic, but the main one is how slaughterhouse workers are emotionally affected by a day of work, essentially being cruel to animals and also the severely unlucky ones that have to kill them. The story begins with us following Chuck Carter, who is described, of course, as a good man. And really, that is what people think of themselves. You do your job, you take care of your family, outwardly everything looks fine. You look like a good community member. The irony is that you have to work every day and kill hundreds of cows. And the reality is that it does something to you psychologically. So the beef draws attention to this idea and then lets you see in the end how it really affects him. And okay, there's a cliffhanger here, so I don't want to spoil it, but it affects him in a pretty insane, very comic book superhero-y kind of way. The other characters are a couple of kids. One, assumably, is Chuck's son. Bullying takes a backseat to the message of animal cruelty, but another message he pushed through, and that's about the chemicals and hormones people end up eating as a result of animal agriculture industry, which pumps cows full of chemicals to make them grow bigger faster. The other interesting point is that the kids get their fast food burgers and end up eating right in front of the slaughterhouse, and one boy is clearly vegetarian and is then ridiculed for eating nothing but fries and for sympathizing for what he believes are the screams of the cows and the slaughterhouse. I've had to do that a few times, just eat fries while everybody else sits around eating their burgers because the establishment didn't have a veggie burger. That kind of sucks. There's a bit of mention about GMOs, and that's genetically modified organisms. So, newsflash, most of the vegetables we eat are genetically modified. This is one criticism that many have about the agricultural industry, which I don't personally agree with. I think GMOs are actually good for the world and good for world hunger, and any studies I've read about their so-called harmful effects have turned up to be unsubstantiated. But hey, be afraid of everything, because that's what we're supposed to be like, right? Fear creates industry, industry creates money, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I'm going to continue to eat my genetically modified vegetables. Of course, this entire book is drawn and colored by Shaky Kane, and it's awesome. Of course, I love Shaky, I love his work. I always love the feel of Shaky's comics because they have this feel like you're reading something that belonged in the days of Kirby, but with this kind of punk rock edge that I just can't get enough of. Shaky draws some real great gore in this issue too, so no, this book isn't appropriate for children, by the way. There's also some swears, but I am absolutely in love with it so far. This is issue 1 of a 5-part miniseries. You can get your copy of The Beef on February 28th at a comic shop near you, and I would suggest adding it to your sub box immediately. As you may remember, this series was originally advertised in an older Shaky one-shot called Cap'n Dinosaur, which came out in 2014, and I've been bugging Shaky for the info on The Beef ever since, so I'm really happy that it's finally come to fruition. Well, I think that does it for this review. Remember to like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter for lots of comic book talk. I also share comic news and previews weekly. Also, if you haven't, go back and take a look at my last video and interview with Peter Milligan on his latest Marvel comic book miniseries, Legion. And until next time, read something good.